Hi, I'm Eric Hutchinson, and this is MF Magazine. Making songs like this was really like a labor of love. You know, I felt like at the time I was really kind of beaten down, and you know, I had a label kind of fold, and people pretty much told me they weren't interested. So to me, it was really proving it to myself. I've been kind of shaken coming out of that. So the record to me was just you know, it was about proving it to myself, and that was really great. And everything since then has really kind of been the icing on the cake. I put the liner notes in the record because, I don't know, I feel like, you know, I need to sort of be framed with something. I like the idea of writing, especially these days when everyone's downloading everything. I like the idea of, if you buy the record, you know, you kind of get the story of what it was going on, you know, with the person's life, maybe adding a little to the songs and stuff. Yeah, I definitely felt like, you know, by doing the liner notes, I was trying to kind of make excuses or explain at least why things had taken a while. But it's been cool now, you know, because I mean, I didn't have that many fans when I made the album, and now as it continues to get bigger and bigger, I still, you know, get a couple emails a week, sometimes even, of people saying, you know, I bought the record and I read the liner notes, and you know, I'm so glad you didn't stop or whatever. So it's cool to sort of have people, you know, get their own inspiration from it. When writing songs, I like to have the song sort of be a puzzle, you know, where the whole song is pretty explicit, except it's missing one detail, and if you find out the detail and you plug it in, then everything makes sense, you know. So I think with that, the songs can mean different things to different people, and then I know my own personal meaning, I plug it in, and that's what everything means, and then somebody else hears it and it means something to their relationship, or somebody else, it means something to their jobs or their friends or something. So I mean, that's what I try to do. I try to get into, I mean, people don't really ask too much what it means as much as just what the song's about. You know, it's easier for me to say why I wrote the song, and, you know, hopefully it means different things to different people. Figuring out the songs to go on the album was a little difficult, but I mean, really it comes down to, do you want to play these songs every night? Do you believe in these songs enough that you're going to go out every night and try to convince people to listen to your music? You know, because I hate the idea of putting songs on a record that I don't even like. I mean, how am I supposed to look people in the eye and tell them to buy my CD when I don't even want it, you know? So I always kind of relate it to like picking out roommates or something like that. You know, you got your friends that you like, but you don't want to see them every day. So I got songs that I like enough, but not enough to live with, you know? Well, I don't want to be one of those artists that you come and they don't play any of the songs that you wanted to hear, you know? I mean, I think you have a certain obligation to the fans to play the songs they like, but also I think, you know, I'm going to play the songs that I believe in, and that's why it goes back, I think, to putting songs on the album that you want to play, you know? The biggest difference, I think, between poets and songwriters are, it sounds so much cheesier without music, I think, you know? I have a really hard time. I've never considered myself a poet, really, because it's just tough. It's tough to pull off. It takes a very certain person to be able to do it without singing. I think when writing lyrics, it's interesting. It's a good challenge because you have to get it to fit in, you know, to the melody. And so a lot of times if I'm stuck, I'll take a shower and kind of work it out. While I'm showering, I'll kind of just sing it out loud, or, you know, just kind of get away from stuff. And to me, it's fun though when you can get it to work and you know, have it sound kind of cool or something. I try not to take myself too seriously, and it's, you know, I'm involved with a major label right now, and it's a decent amount of you know, promotion and getting your, you know, and you get put in a situation almost every day that's, you know, makes you look like a fool or something like that. And so I don't think you can take yourself too seriously. I mean, yeah, I take the song seriously, I take my work seriously, but in the end, I'm just an entertainer, you know? I mean, to treat myself like I'm royalty or something, I think would be a little extraneous. Yeah, the transition kind of to be a little more lighthearted came after a while. When I first started, I was writing a lot more sort of hard on your sleeve kind of songs, and I still write those, but I try to have sort of a sense of humor in the music, which is kind of how I am. But yeah, it's tough. I just never wanted to be, I hate kind of the term of singer-songwriter, because usually I think you hear that, you think of a guy, you know, like, I mean, I like Elliott Smith, but I sort of feel like that kind of stuff where it's somebody who's looking at their shoes and depressed, and you want to, you know, go to sleep after you listen to music or something like that. So I always feel like I'm fighting an uphill battle against that stuff, when really I feel like the people that I like more are Stevie Wonder and the Beatles and Paul Simon, people who also wrote all their music, but are able to kind of change genres, you know. Yeah, I mean, there's such a fine line between having a style and being derivative, you know. I mean, they're not one of my favorite bands at all, but U2 has done a really great job of that. You know, their albums change and they grow as artists, but when you hear it, it always sounds like U2, you know. So to me, that's what I would like, to get to the point where, you know, I want each album to be a little different, and I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. I am a big baseball fan. I think if I could change one thing I would not change for sure is they're talking about maybe adding more teams into the playoffs. And I love the fact that baseball doesn't screw around. You know, it's not like the NBA playoffs where half the league gets in. You know, this is like the cream of the crop. I think if I could change one thing in baseball, that's tough. I don't know. I think it's interesting what they're kind of getting into now with the instant replay, and like, do they want to let the umps decide? Do they not want to? But I think that was a call they got right by doing instant replay for the home runs, at least. If you start giving the power to all the cameras, it's like you pretty much take away all the umps. You know, I mean, I think the sport is it's got to be kind of run by humans and not by robots and stuff like that. Well, I guess that's the one thing I would say is I think baseball needs to. I know it's a sport of tradition and everybody loves that, but I think it needs to be unafraid of making changes, you know, adapting to fit what's going on now. You know, I think the three-point line is a good example of that in NBA. And, you know, we didn't really grow up with that generation, but to think about it before that is, you know, it just gets something more exciting. Not that you need to have like rock and jock rules at baseball where it's like, you know, the 10-point home run or something, but I think they just need to make sure they continue to adapt. Yeah, I mean, keep the tradition, but, you know, grow the sport along with the people who are watching it. I just love coming to Portland, especially now. We've been on tour through Texas and Florida and Southern California, which is all nice, but you know, it was during like my favorite time of the year, which is fall, and so to come up here and, you know, really get a taste of that with leaves and you know, nice weather and stuff, it's really refreshing, you know. So, and people are just nice, and it's a cool town. I'm working on a new top 7 for November, and let's see. I'm working on it still, but I think Christmas songs are going to be up there, and maybe Home Improvement. I've been watching a lot of Home Improvement on reruns, and I don't know. I'm not sure what else. It's pretty much the time where I have to write it, though, so thank you for getting me started on that. So we did this morning show in LA, and I mean, usually they're lame. It's usually like us, and the other guest is like a guy teaching you how to clean your gutters or something, but this one was cool. And, you know, it was like, I've been watching a ton of Home Improvement before this, and then there were like Al Borland's here, and I was like, really, you couldn't pick a better person for me to meet right now. So it was fun. He was nice. Christmas songs, I find, are like every other kind of music, where it's just like mind-boggling how it can be so good, but then also just so horrible. So I think Christmas songs are very touchy, but when they're good, they're really great, and that's one of my ultimate goals as an artist, is to one day write a classic Christmas song, you know. So I need to get down to it, but I think when it's done well, you know, it's just a good song, and it's an easy, it's a universal theme that people can relate to, you know. Covering Christmas songs is tough, and you know, I'm sure you can play this interview back in 15 years when I'm washed up and I'm desperate and I'm doing the Christmas record, but you know, I feel kind of like the great Christmas songs were already done well, and in many cases done well many times. So, you know, it's tough.